My name is Jim Leach, and I'm chairman of the National Endowment for the Humanities. Well, there are a lot of aspects of governance, and one relates to what one gives priorities to. And research is a very important thing. It's come to be almost totally today preempted in the science arena, and I am adamantly for scientific research. But we had started to cut back research in the humanities, in history, literature, philosophy, and the National Endowment for the Humanities, which symbolized humanities, was on the block to be eliminated in the eyes of many. And I thought it was a very important institution, and that social science research was exceptionally important. And partly because it's the background for so much decision-making in a governance arena. That is, if you take almost any political issue, particularly geopolitical, international, politics is on the surface. What's below the surface is culture. What is the culture of a given country, a given region of a country? How do people mesh religion with lifestyle, with sociology? What does all of this mean? And in my view, we needed to do more as a country to learn more about others. And so I founded this particular caucus, and I had asked a wonderful Democrat, David Price of North Carolina, to be my co-leader of it, and it has become an advocate for an arena that had been. Well, words sometimes are misleading and misunderstood. I once created something called the Republican Mainstream Committee to reflect moderate attitudes. And a great friend of mine was a chap named Jack Kemp. Jack came up to me and said, "Jim, you can't use the word mainstream. I'm mainstream." I said, "Jack, you can't use the word conservative. I'm conservative." And so what is it that you define? If you take the Republican Party, for example, conservatism a generation ago was more symbolized by two people, Robert Taft and then Barry Goldwater. And they were fiscally quite conservative, but Goldwater was a classic individual rights conservatism, and that made him pro-choice rather than pro-life. It made him pro-gay rights rather than anti-gay rights. And to today's conservatism is much more a social conservatism. And people can take their choice of where they stand. And one of the things that I've always honored is how to respect someone else, even if they differ with me. Although I weaken a little bit, I don't always respect those that try to manipulate people of a given kind. And some of those were in politics that I held in lesser high esteem than other types. But words like conservative go through evolutions. Words like liberal. And so American politics is becoming increasingly oligarchic, although intriguingly, the oligarchs aren't necessarily those in the Senate or the House of Representatives, but they're controlling the people in the Senate and the House of Representatives. And they're controlling through this grand immersion of money into the political process. And so I used to consider myself a moderate, but on one issue I was absolutely radical, and that is that we need to have campaign reform of a truly